Hi, and welcome to episode 8 of this Conversation Strategies and Social Skills series. And today I'm talking about 5 ways to make yourself more interesting, to develop your personal brand that you project to the world around you. 5 different ways to achieve that. And I'm talking about this today, and I find it relevant to the whole topic of social skills because we all have an inner voice. We all have an inner critic that from time to time, for some more than others, that inner critic can put us down and really self-sabotage us. And there's a reason why it does it. And we'll get into that very briefly. So for me and my own experiences in the past, I had one of the worst inner critics, which would consistently tell me that I had nothing interesting to share with people. I had no interesting experiences, no anecdotes to share, no opinions, no thoughts, no dialogue, no conversation, no small talk, nothing to share. I was a boring person. I was an empty shell. And why would anyone want to talk to me? Why would anyone want to say yes to a date? It was the imposter syndrome. You're living in an adult world, but you don't feel like an adult. You feel like an imposter, and you have that constant surreal feeling of being out of place or out of step with reality. And you've got that inner voice, that inner critic putting you down and saying, yeah, that's right, that's absolutely right, you don't belong here. And it's doing that because you've got possibly negative experiences in your past. Let's say you've been on dates and they've been disasters, and so your brain is now protecting you from going forward and trying to get another date because it knows that you might experience that pain again. So it's trying to protect you from that pain. But it does so by giving you pain to protect you from the pain. And that's crazy. I mean, that's an irony, but that's what it does. That's its operandus modi. That's how it operates. And it's a very effective strategy in holding you back and preventing you from living and growing and mixing in and developing friend networks and relationships. If you're not making that connection, if you're hiding away in the first place, you're never making that connection and that bridge to all those good things that can come out of it. And your inner voice is not necessarily right. When I began my personal development journey, I started looking into my past to see if it was true that I wasn't an interesting person, that I didn't have any experiences to share. And it turned out that nothing could be the further from the truth. My history was littered with little anecdotes, which on the surface you might think, well, it's not a very interesting anecdote. But to the right person at the right time in a relevant situation, it is an interesting anecdote. Polish it up a little bit, give it a hook, and you've got a little gem of an anecdote. And your history is littered with these anecdotes. I can promise you of this. You go walking through your past, you're going to be treading on them at every footstep. Think about one topic that you're interested in. I'll give you an example. I played the guitar as a child. And so if I concentrated my thoughts and my energy on that and took a journey into my past and specifically related to my guitar playing, I find loads of anecdotes related to that one little strand of my past right there. And there's hundreds and thousands of strands that you could explore into your childhood, and each one will yield little anecdotes. So they're there. You don't have to memorize them, just be aware that they are there. Raise a few of them to the surface of your consciousness and just remind yourself that you are an interesting person. You do have a history just like everybody else. That's your past, but what about going forward? So put yourself in the path of new experiences, of anecdotes. Whatever you're doing today, maybe you're stuck in a rut. You go to your job, you come home, you relax and unwind for the job by watching telly for the evening. Maybe that's your routine. Whatever your life situation, go out and find 10% that you can direct in a different way. Go out to the library, read a book, go to the theatre, go to the cinema, enroll in in a new language at your local university and go back as a mature student. Put yourself in a new environment, meet new people with a similar interest in learning that language or whatever topic you might be interested in. Photography, filming, whatever it is. Or take a weekend break to Prague or go on a full blown holiday and put yourself in the path of new experiences. That's number one. Put yourself in the path of experiences. That can take time to develop, but it's a lifelong journey and you'll get the dividends coming back to you if you begin today. Number two, be more positive. Have more energy about you, more of a vibrant glow about you that attracts other people's attention. We all know people who are negative and they go around with what looks like a cloud over their head, not a crowd, a cloud. So they're permanently mired in the negativities and the injustices of life. And when you meet up with them, you know they're going to complain about something or they're going to gossip about somebody else that they feel is a negative person. A negative person gossiping about a negative person. And you know that when you meet them, this is going to be your interaction with them, and you don't look forward to that. It brings you down to their level. So instead of being led by negativity, and maybe, just maybe, you are that person to some extent. If so, a little bit of self reflection and recognize it. Or maybe you're just middle of the road and cruising along, not really negative, but not really positive either. So you've got room to grow there. Bring more positivity to your personality and your personal brand. When you meet up with people, be more positive, have a better posture, be more enthusiastic about everything in general, and cut out the gossip, cut out the complaining. People will listen, but they won't really want to hear it so much. People want a fun experience, a good experience in your company, and they will like you more for it. They'll be more interested in you more for it. So lead people with positivity. Number three, be enthusiastic and passionate about what you talk about. So, what are your hobbies and passions? When you're talking about them to other people, are you infusing your words and your dialogue with passion for it? Or are you're just talking in a mechanical, informative sort of way? If so, you're not really hooking the interest of the other person. You're just giving information and they're just waiting their turn to talk as people do. But if you infuse your words, your language, your enthusiasm for your hobbies and your interests, and let that show through in your words and your dialogue, then people will stop and think, wow, is it really that interesting? Maybe you're talking about online poker or fishing, whatever your hobby is. It may not be an interest to the other person, but the way you project it brings it to life for them if you're infusing it with that excitement and enthusiasm. So that's number three, how you talk about your hobbies and interests and how you hook the interest of the other person as a result. Number four, paint a picture. So this is similar again to number three and number two. We're kind of building it up. So number four, now we're talking with enthusiasm and excitement about our hobbies and giving anecdotes. But are you painting a picture? Are you letting the other person see what you can see in your own mind's eye as you tell these anecdotes? Now, long ago, when I worked for this engineering company, I had a colleague who was an older man. He was near retirement and he was quite short, almost bald, and he had these little round spectacles. And he always, for some reason, he permanently smelt of cigarette smoke, even if he was not smoking at that time. His clothes, his mustache, and everything absorbed the nicotine and cigarette smell of the cigarettes that he often smoked. But on the other hand, he was a kind of person that would do anything for you and try and help anybody. Yet his anecdotes, and he had a million anecdotes on any topic under the sun. He had some experience in that field. he had an anecdote or he had some advice to share on it. He was that person. But the problem was with his anecdotes that he didn't paint a picture. He kind of assumed that me, as the listener, knew what he was talking about. He assumed I was going on a ride with him as he took me through his anecdote. But the reality was that I had no idea what he was talking about. He might have been in the Sahara Desert or in a storm in the Philippines. He didn't give me that context. But at the end, when he's delivering his final words on the subject, and he looks at me for confirmation that I've understood and I've got his point of view, I'm totally confused and I have no idea what he's talking about. And I'm thinking to myself, well, do I ask for clarity and he starts his story again? Do I really want that? No. So I got into the habit of just nodding and saying, yeah, good point. Yeah, interesting. When in fact I had no idea what he was talking about and what I was nodding to. So that's what happens when you don't paint a picture. So now when I told you about my colleague, I painted you a picture of him. I gave you a description how short he was and how he wore little round spectacles and he was bald. And I gave you other sensory information about how he smelt strongly of cigarette smoke constantly. Now, we're not writing a novel here, but give a little bit of sensory input and really hook the other person in to your story and really let them see what you can see in your mind's eye as you're giving your little story or whatever it is that you're talking about. And now, finally, number 5, show interest in what the other person is talking about. Be interested in them, and that will be reciprocated. They will show interest back to you because it's such a rare thing for people to actively listen to what you're talking about instead of just waiting their turn to talk. So when somebody stops and actually listens to you, and you can tell that they're listening to you, it feels good to be heard. Everybody wants to be heard and noticed. So when somebody is actually giving you their full attention, you notice it and you'll be grateful for it and you'll give that back to the person that gave you their attention. So that's the 5 ways that you can give more interesting experiences to other people and to develop your own personal brand as a more interesting person. So number 5 was show interest in other people and let it be reciprocated. Number 4 was to paint a picture with your words. Show people through your words what you're talking about and bring more colour to your dialogue. Bring more passion to your dialogue so people are interested and intrigued about your hobbies, your passions, your subject, even if it wasn't an interest to them in the first place. You're hooking their interest by your own passions and you're infecting them with your enthusiasm for it. And similar to that, infuse your body language and your persona with more positive energy. Cut out the gossip, cut out the complaints, and add in more positivity and vibrancy and lead people with this. When you join a conversation, maybe the energy is flatlining, but you're bringing some positivity and then you're bringing the other people up and they associate that extra positivity with you. And finally, back to number 1, put yourself in the path of experiences so that you can have more anecdotes and weave the tapestry of your own life with more interesting stuff to talk about when you are in a good conversation that's flowing. And these kind of conversations are really just exchanges of anecdotes. And when you've got anecdotes to tell and you know how to tell them and how to colour them that hooks the other person's interest in, now you know you've got good, vibrant, flowing, interesting conversations going on. And that's it for this live stream. That's the 5 ways. Some of them you can implement instantly and directly. Others will take time to develop. And if we're being realistic, it might take you years to develop some of these ways of being more interesting. You might have a mindset that you're stuck in, and it's going to take you time to break out of that mold. It took me 15 years to break out of my mold, that that mindset that I was stuck in so deeply in my younger years. And maybe you're experiencing having a life experience that's similar to that, and it will take you a long time too. But surround yourself with information and positivity. You are the sum of the five people you hang out with most. Make me one of those people that you hang out with, even if it's just virtually through these live streams or on the podcast if you're listening through that medium. And I'd be happy to have you along, and I'd be happy to hear about your journey, to comment on these live streams and tell me what you think. Tell me what you're planning to do going forward. Talk to me, or just give me a like and let me know that you're out there. And if you want to hear more live streams that we've done in the past, sign up and let's get connected. Go to lifeconfident.com/live stream. And therell be a form there where you can sign up and get notifications of the next live stream, what topic it's going to be, and get access to the back catalogue of live streams and PDFs that go with them. And you'll be able to see what workshops we'll be running as well. And you'll get a little discount on the workshops. These workshops are what I call conversation super strategies that will really accelerate you, because where I excel in conversation strategies, the ones that I develop, I infuse them with memory techniques, because in my own history, I've got a history of a blank mind and brain fog. So I develop strategies that specifically target this issue to overcome this issue and break through that wall in your mind that's preventing you from accessing your own interesting stories, when that mind goes blank and you can't access anything, and you find yourself with nothing to say. So that's where I focus. That's where I concentrate my efforts when I'm developing strategies. And maybe that's of use to you too. So if it is, you'll learn more about this too once you get into the live stream lounge on lifeconfident.com/live stream. Go there and do it now, but not if you're driving. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you, or for you joining me again on the next live stream in a few days.